Hi there, everyone. Happy Friday. We have made it to the end of the week. I don't know about you, but it seems like it's been one of the longest weeks ever. So, ready for the weekend and hopefully have some big plans because it has seemed like a full week. And I don't know if it's because of everything that was happening with the storms last week, the hurricane, and just how busy it kept everybody. But it seems like it's just kind of continued. So I know I'm looking forward to the weekend ahead. We got a lot going on, a lot of outdoor activities, and so we'll be talking to Cutter Martin here shortly about what to expect weather-wise, because they're saying that's going to get a little cooler. I'm not sure how soon that'll happen, but we'll talk to Cutter here about that shortly. In the meantime, my name is Blair Miller, and I'm here in the Atlanta News First newsroom. We're getting ready for our 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock newscast right now. And some of the stories that are making headlines tonight I want to pass along to you. A pretty wild story that's happening out in Douglas County that has been folding all day long. A man shot and killed, an off-duty Atlanta police investigator who allegedly broke into his Douglas County home Friday morning. This is according to investigators. Atlanta police identified the investigator as Aubrey Horton, who joined the department in 2015 and was assigned to their fugitive unit. This is some video from the First Alert chopper that was over that scene earlier today. We're told around 5 a.m. today, Douglas County deputies responded to the home off Orkney Way in Winston about a person shot, and this is not too far from the St. Andrews Golf Club. Deputies said a video showed a man experienced some kind of mental health episode or under the influence of narcotics, trying to break into the front door of the residence. The homeowner shot that intruder in self-defense, according to deputies. Law enforcement later determined that the man killed also lived in the neighborhood about a half mile from the home where the shooting occurred. And we got a statement from Atlanta Police on this tonight, and they said, quote, "We are working closely with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office to learn more about what occurred as they investigate the incident." So still a lot of questions on this one. And one of the things, this is one of the stories we'll be following here tonight as we look at what's happening. And so we'll see how the investigation unfolds with this over the weekend and even here tonight. But another big story that we've been following here today is, following up on Appalachee High School. That community and this North Georgia community just profoundly impacted, as you might imagine. And tonight, the football team was back on their home field. That game is now underway, but this is the first time since that shooting, and that shooting took place 1 month ago today. I remember being out there in the hours after the shooting unfolded there in Winder in Barrow County, and so many people were talking about how will this community ever move forward? How will it, begin to take some of those steps? And here we are a month later, and this community is certainly trying to do that. And so it's certainly a powerful evening out there for this football team, and showing some video, from the field and, what that community's been dealing with tonight. They're under the Friday night lights where this team certainly wants to be, but the high school team, their first home game since 4 people were killed on that campus, and the school is right next to that field. And really this story is now turning to their future and what that will look like. Students and parents, they started lining up outside the football field around 4 o'clock this afternoon. And as this should be an emotional evening, exactly a month to the day since tragedy took place at Appalachee, 2 students, 2 teachers were killed during the school shooting. One of those who lost their lives was the Wildcats defensive coordinator, Ricky Aspinwall. And so certainly this football team was directly impacted by this shooting, losing one of their coaches. So the school expected a very large turnout for this tonight, and they certainly saw that with the long line, but they were even asking families if they didn't have a player or someone performing for one of these teams or for one of these schools to not purchase tickets for the game. Instead, they were broadcasting it and streaming the game tonight. And we spoke with some students who say that this game is certainly playing a pivotal part in their healing process. And here's some of what they had to say.
Today is the day that we can all as I say, reclaim our school, because it's been a month today since it happened. So everybody gets to get together and just spend time together.
And just cheer on the team.
Yeah, and just realize we're all here together for each other.
And so that community, the schools, certainly trying to move forward tonight. We know that we got word earlier tonight that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson also there showing his support for Appalachie High. And he's been here a couple times, talking with students and talking with people in that community to try to bring some support for them from a different source. But we have our Blake Devine, who's been out there tonight. We just had an editorial meeting, and he gave us an update. We got an update from him, and he's been talking with folks out there, students and community leaders about what this game means for this community tonight and how they begin to move forward. So certainly covering Friday Night Football across the board, but this game certainly has much more of an impact, to our community. I was telling you earlier, as we approach the weekend, we're getting ready for the weekend now. It's show you this live picture outside. This live picture is beautiful, and I don't know about you, but I thought it was really nice out there. I've liked the clouds over there. I think that's kind of been helpful, and I'm bringing in Cutter Martin, meteorologist Cutter Martin. I've enjoyed the clouds. I think it's taken the edge off the heat, and it's really kind of been okay. I think perfect. Honestly,
I mean, I would say nice. Touch of humidity.
Well, someone said in this news yesterday, they said, "Isn't it cooler out?" I was like, "It was like 80 something."
Oh yeah, we were in the mid-80s yesterday.
Like, that's not cool.
No,
it's cooler.
It's cooler, and upper 70s cooler than yesterday's mid-80s when that interesting opinion was shared. But we have some real cool weather on the way as we get into next week. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get there. In the meantime, we're actually tracking a warm up, so it's going to get warmer again as we get into the weekend. Call that a minor price to pay. The good news, we do have more sunshine in the forecast. I know you probably saw a little bit of that gloom today, a little bit worried about, whether rain was going to impact your plans. Thankfully, not a big factor for most. In fact, the vast majority of us remained dry today, and I think the vast majority of us will remain dry heading into the weekend. In fact, through the entirety of the weekend. So no need to, worry about canceling the plans or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, we're going to be dealing with some clouds even into the day tomorrow. But in general, no significant problems ahead in our first alert forecast. So again, I want to thank you for tuning in and for watching. We're going to just switch things up here, open up our weather graphics so we can better tell kind of that weather story, not only tell you what's going on, but showing you what's happening across the area as well. Quite a bit of weather to watch. We have temperature changes on the way. We're still watching the Gulf of Mexico. In fact, a 7 p.m. update from the National Hurricane Center, odds are increasing. We are going to have our next system in the Gulf of Mexico. Next name is Milton on the list. We'll go into that part of the forecast in just a moment. First, though, kind of a look at what we're tracking across North Georgia, kind of the highlights of the first alert forecast, a summary of just the bigger things we're going to be tracking and watching here over the next 5 to 7 days. So first off, clouds continue tonight. If you're out tonight, you probably won't see much in the way of stars. It may look like it's going to rain, and some of those city lights kind of reflecting and refracting off of some of the lower mid-level clouds out there now that we're past sunset. And again, you get a sense that it's cloudy outside, but not worried much about rain impacting those plans. As mentioned, a warmer trend in temperature as we get into the weekend. Highs soaring back to well above average levels, advertised in the upper 70s for the city of Atlanta, even cooler in the mountains. But we will be warmer than that, so keep that in mind. And then finally, fall-like weather continues next week. In fact, not just fall-like, but I would say true fall weather. May not last, the entirety of the season. I'm sure we're still going to have warm-ups. I'm sure we're going to still have afternoons in the 80s ahead. Probably have already seen our last 90-degree afternoon. Very confident in that. But 80 is still a possibility. But we'll get a break from that as we get into the middle of next week. Hour-by-hour forecast, again, a nice night ahead. No worries of weather, weather woes or weather causing any impacts to your evening plans. Looking pretty decent out there. We do have the clouds in the forecast this evening. That continues through the evening into the overnight hours. In fact, I even think tomorrow morning we're going to wake up to some clouds in the first alert forecast, kind of a battle between sun and the clouds. And as we go deeper into the forecast, now that we're getting into tomorrow, I want to remind you if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns about the first alert forecast. We are streaming right now on YouTube, Atlanta News First Plus, Atlanta News First is the account to like and to follow. And you can also text us, 470-777-9263. Again, that is 470-777-WANF. Hello to folks already watching on Atlanta News First. Michael Baxter, good evening to you. And Michael is saying ready for the cooler weather. Tam Marty, hello to you. Happy evening, happy Friday. And then No PhD is saying, hey, hello to you there. Again, chatting with folks on YouTube. If you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, YouTube, a good place to be, but perhaps even easier to just text us, 470-777-WANF. And even if I don't see your text come in on time, during the duration of the stream, we can always holler back and kind of give you that update here even after the conclusion of this stream. We're going to take a look at those chats again. No texts coming in as of the moment, and no new YouTube comments. Going to go ahead and dive deeper into that first alert forecast. Out the door tomorrow morning, not bad. Now, we're warmer than average. Average low temperature for the city of Atlanta is 60. Notice 66 tomorrow morning. So 66, you say, hey, in the summertime, we're in the mid, sometimes even upper 70s. So certainly it's an improvement from that, and it is. But for the time of year, it's going to feel fairly mild in the morning. 66 downtown, Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta International Airport, about the same, southwest side. 62 in Carrollton, 58 LJ, 62 Helen. So the upper 50s really reserved for the higher elevations up in our North Georgia and Northeast Georgia mountain counties. Close to 70, or at least closer to it, down in Putnam County, Eatonton. Similar there in Greene County. Clark and Oconee County is getting off to the north. Temperatures in the mid-60s tomorrow. Now, if you're headed to the NAMI Walk in Doraville, this is at Assembly Park starting at 9 a.m., goes until noon. Through the duration of that walk, we'll warm from 60s to 70s, and by noon, the conclusion of those events, I think right around 80 degrees. So it's going to start warming up tomorrow. Maybe you need a light jacket early in the morning, but by the fact that it's starting at 9 a.m., not anticipating, much of a need for that jacket, so probably short sleeves through the duration of that with a temperature in the 70s by the walk start, and by the conclusion of those events, again, closer to 80 degrees. Saturday brunch forecast. Going to be a great day for the outdoor table. A little warm, but not too bad with lots of sunshine, dry forecast. And when I say lots of sunshine, I think that compared to today, we will have more, but mainly referring to North Metro and our mountain communities. You all will see the most sunshine on the north side tomorrow. I-20 corridor, city of Atlanta points south. Unfortunately, it's going to be a bit more of a battle. I think it's going to take longer for full sunshine to return to the first alert forecast. So we'll call it partly to mostly cloudy in the city of Atlanta. You kind of notice that here in our hour-by-hour forecast. Don't see any of those completely sunny icons. And we're going to be dealing with some clouds tomorrow, but a dry forecast with high temperatures back in the low to mid 80s tomorrow afternoon. Alex Corbin, hello to you, saying hi, everybody. Happy Friday evening from Atlanta, watching from East Point. Hello to you, watching from East Point, Alex. Michael Baxter is watching. Tam Marty, no PhD. Avatar, we're just talking avatars here, not actual names on YouTube. And again, Michael Baxter saying good evening to Blair earlier as well. If you did miss this evening's news headlines, kind of a recap of all that we have going on this weekend, what we're covering today, AtlantaNewsFirst.com, the Atlanta News First app, and then, of course, our newscast starting at 10 p.m. tonight, Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV, Atlanta CW affiliate. If you did miss some of those news headlines this evening. First alert forecast, so tomorrow, again, morning begins warmer than average, or afternoon will end up warmer than average or warmer than normal with a high temperature of 84 in Atlanta. That's 5 degrees above the normal for tomorrow's date in Atlanta. That's 79. Even our mountain communities, you should be more in the low to mid 70s for an afternoon high. In LJ and Helen, not tomorrow. 81 Helen, 82 LJ, 85 LaGrange, mid 80s Eatonton and Thomaston. So it is going to be a pretty warm afternoon as, the early October afternoons go. But here is that first alert 7-day forecast. And again, this front is doing two really good things for us. Number one, it's bringing in lower humidity. It's bringing in drier air. It's bringing in much cooler air. Notice Monday 84, so warm to start the work week. Front moves through late Monday afternoon, Monday evening. You're going to start to feel the difference, I think, by Tuesday morning even. Tuesday afternoon, certainly starting to feel the difference as well. And then definitely Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Friday morning, we'll settle back into the low to mid 50s, maybe upper 40s, lower 50s across the heart of the metro as we get into Friday morning. So if you live outside of I-285, rural portions of, not rural, but more forested, less concreted neighborhoods and communities into Cobb County, Westside Douglas County. Maybe if you live in North Cobb, you could wake up to some upper 40s Friday morning with high temperatures only, even in the city in the mid 70s, outlying areas upper 60s, in the mountains lower 70s elsewhere. So going to be a stunner, and that's good thing number one. Good thing number two is that same front, as I bring you an updated forecast from the National Hurricane Center, is going to kind of act as a dam or a block for whatever develops to our south in the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, a 70% chance of subtropical or tropical development. All you need to know is we could get our next named storm in the Gulf of Mexico as we get into next week. And with this front, again, just drawing where it's likely to be sitting as we get into next week, this system very well will form along it or just ahead of it. And if it forms along it and it's part of the front, might not get a name if it's its own entity, which several forecast models indicate that it's truly a tropical system, kind of meets all the boxes, checks all the boxes, should say. Likely to kind of ride that front from west to east. And if I were in Florida, I'd be more concerned, especially the true peninsula, not the panhandle. I'd be a little bit more concerned about direct impacts to an area, again, west coast of Florida, that already has been so hard hit by Helene earlier this season, and even Debbie, portions of the Florida peninsula early this season as well. So a lot to watch. Still at this time looking like that front will sneak far enough south of us to give us sunnier weather, cooler weather, drier weather, and block whatever becomes of this system from impacting our forecast here in North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. Liza Moon watching from Virginia. Good evening to you. Thanks for tuning in and for watching. Again, hopefully you're having a great evening out there. We're bringing you good news here in the First Alert forecast as far as Atlanta and North Georgia are concerned, but a reminder that we will be watching the setup, especially for our neighbors to the south. With this front stalling to the south, certainly could see a subtropical or tropical system or next name system in the Gulf of Mexico. Next time on the list is Milton. If it develops, likely to occur late this weekend or more so early next work week, and then kind of zoom from west to east across the Gulf of Mexico, probably remaining to our south, but we'll be fine-tuning the forecast, certainly watching the forecast, and if there are any shifts or changes, shifts northward, we'll keep you updated, streaming, like right here on Atlanta News First Plus multiple times a day, also on Atlanta News First, and if you're on the go, busy work week, it's a school year, sports practices are only picking back up. Everyone's, so busy, but on the go, you can get the First Alert Weather app, and we'll be updating you, sending you little buzzes, little vibrations, alerting you to new forecast updates and videos in the First Alert Weather app, but still leaning to the more likely scenario at the moment that front sneaks far enough south to block us from any sort of tropical impacts here in North Georgia, Metro Atlanta, and deliver some sunnier, cooler, drier weather to the First Alert forecast here across the region. Now, if you have travel plans to Florida, even the Florida Panhandle, if you have travel plans even to coastal Georgia, it's possible whatever becomes of this mess in the Gulf of Mexico could impact that forecast for those areas, especially for the Florida Peninsula, south of the Panhandle, getting deeper down into Florida. Tam Marty watching from Cape Coral, Florida. So, Tam Marty, I would keep an eye on that forecast. Keep an eye on the Gulf of Mexico. I know you're probably a little bit weather weary at the moment after going through Helene and then Debbie earlier this season and then a couple of other threats mixed in there. But one, Tam Marty on YouTube, please keep an eye on that forecast down in Cape Coral, especially as we get into the middle-ish latter portion of the coming work week. We will be keeping you updated. I'm sure your local news affiliates as well will be keeping you updated, but if I were in Cape Coral, I would be keeping certainly a close eye on that First Alert forecast, specifically watching whatever happens in the Gulf of Mexico. Michael Baxter, good evening to you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. We're here to keep you updated, and we will be live again, Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV, Atlanta CW affiliate at 10 p.m., joined by First Alert meteorologist Patrick Pete at 10:30, and we will have the latest newscast as well tonight on WANF Atlanta News First, and you can get an update on that forecast in the First Alert Weather app. First Alert meteorologist Patrick Pete here, going to record a new video, put it in the app here in the next 30 minutes or so. And if you can't stay up tonight, it's a Friday night, you're getting out having fun, we get it. You can always grab the latest news headlines and your forecast tomorrow morning, starting early on, 6 a.m. with Megan Packer and First Alert meteorologist Courtney Jacobazzi. Have a wonderful evening and a great weekend. Get outside and enjoy the sunshine.